Greetings, page chasers. My name is Amanda Bauk, and I am the editor for the Harper Horizon imprint. And today I am delighted to have with me Molly Galbraith, who is a co-founder of the organization Girls Gone Strong and is the author extraordinaire of the upcoming book, Strong Women Lift Each Other Up, which is her debut book. And we at Harper Horizon are very, very proud to be publishing this book and to be partnering with Molly and her amazing organization. Before we get into the conversation about the book, though, I would like to talk about some larger ideas and concepts around, the idea of, women lifting each other up, Women's History Month, International Women's Day. And so your book is actually releasing on Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, which is the day after International Women's Day. Why was it important for you personally to launch the book to coincide with International Women's Day?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amanda. So it was important to me that the book launch coincide with International Women's Day because, the creation of International Women's Day was an effort to raise awareness of and campaign for women's rights to work, to vote, to be trained, to hold public office, to end discrimination. And while we have come a long way since the first International Women's Day in, I think, 1911, so I think there was a National Women's Day maybe in like 1908 or '09, but the first International Women's Day, I believe, was 1911. We still have a long way to go. I mean, at this moment in time, only 7% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. US Congress is 27% women. Only 11% of heads of government globally, so prime minister and president and chancellor, are women. And only 2.8% of investment capital at this moment goes to companies founded wholly by women. So while we've made a lot of progress, we can't take this progress for granted. And I really believe it's going to take all of us working together to create the kind of change we want to see. And while I believe women want to work together to create this kind of change, within our Girls Gone Strong community, we've got over 1 million women across all of our platforms. I've seen some powerful things holding women back from working together to create this sort of change. And I truly believe that Strong Women Lift Each Other Up, this book, gives them the tools they need to overcome what's holding them back and to know how to work together to create that sort of change. So I'm happy to dive more into kind of some of the themes that I've seen if you'd like, but I feel like that International Women's Day represents women fighting for equity, and that this book is actually going to help women work together to achieve the equity that we're still lacking.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree because, we'll talk a bit more about the book and its content, but, one of the strengths of the work your organization does and the book itself is that you're very invested in equipping women. You don't just talk the talk and say, women need this or women need that. You say, not only do women need this and women need that, this is how we can make that happen. So, of course, International Women's Day is placed in the larger context of Women's History Month, which is celebrated the month of March every year. So you're the co-founder of Girls Gone Strong, which is a global business that empowers women in more ways than anyone could possibly ever imagine. And so how does your organization tap into the history, of the women's movement? And also, how are you as an individual and as an organization helping women make history today and in the future?
Yeah, those are great questions. So I'm actually going to answer them in reverse if that's okay. So in
Oh,
terms
yeah, please
of
do.
in terms of helping women make history, in the conclusion of my book, I reflect on all of the women who have contributed to helping me become the woman I am today, but also all the women who have paved the way for the rest of us. So I was just talking about we've made a significant improvement. It wasn't that long ago that women couldn't open their own bank accounts without their husband's signature, or unmarried women couldn't access birth control or couldn't attend law school or a desegregated school. So we've come a really long way. There's still a long way to go. So I was first reflecting back in the conclusion on all of the women who've come before us. So Rosa Parks and Fannie Lou Hamer and Gloria Steinem and Marsha P. Johnson and Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all these incredible women. But one thing that I think is so important is to think about the women whose stories have been erased, and also the women whose stories were never told and whose names we don't know because it was often their small, unremarkable, unhistorical, but crucial action that led us to get where we are today. They're small actions. They're marching, they're donating, they're protesting, they're applying for jobs and going to school and, raising families and, working their way up in their company, and they're researching and they're innovating, and all of these things have all chipped away at the inequity and lack of opportunity for women. And so that's a huge part of what the book is about. So helping women see that their small, often unhistorical act, right, ripples into life-changing and world-changing things. There is one story that I'd like to share. There was a woman featured in the book named Chrissy King, and I didn't get to feature this part of the story in the book. So this is kind of a little like behind the scenes insider stuff, but several years ago, we asked her to write an article for Girls Gone Strong. And at that point in time, she was a coach and a trainer on the side. She had a corporate job. And she has since told me, that was around 2017 or 18. She's since told me that being asked to write for Girls Gone Strong and getting paid to write for Girls Gone Strong flipped a switch in her. It basically was like a light bulb moment. I can get paid for writing and doing this work that I love. And that ended up rippling into her writing for all kinds of different health and fitness magazines herself. She wrote for Girls Gone Strong. She's doing all kinds of other writing work. And she also does diversity, equity, and inclusion training in health and fitness. And now she is working with a major certifying body in the health and fitness industry to create the industry's first anti-racism certification. And so it was this amazing, like, we just asked her to write an article for us. That doesn't feel like a history making thing to do, to ask someone to write something for you. But what it has rippled into, because of her passion and her hard work and her knowledge and expertise, it has rippled into giving her the confidence to work with a major certifying body in health and fitness to create the industry's first anti-racism certification.
That is an amazing story. And I wish it had snuck into the book, but it didn't. And so I'm glad that you were able to share it with everyone who's listening to this interview today. What is your mission in helping women, not only in the United States, but across the globe?
Yep. So we've got, we're technically, I'm based in the US, but we have team members in 6 or 7 countries. So we're in US, UK, Canada, Mexico, India, and Australia. And we've got students and graduates of our certifications in over 93 countries. So we truly are a global organization. So our mission at Girls Gone Strong is we create evidence-based, interdisciplinary, women-specific health, fitness, nutrition, and pregnancy education for women and the professionals who work with them, because we believe when women feel strong, confident, and empowered in their lives and bodies, we can change the world. What that looks like is we create an enormous amount of education for women. So I know I kind of gave you all a lot of words. That means our stuff is research backed. Interdisciplinary is we're working with professionals from a ton of different disciplines. So whether it's a psychologist, molecular biologist, registered dietitian, OBGYN, pelvic health physiotherapist, we bring all of these professionals together to make sure that our information is interdisciplinary. And then we cover a wide range of topics: health, fitness, nutrition, exercise, pre and postnatal health, mental health, sexual health, all of that. So we created an enormous amount of education in the form of articles, free courses, downloadable resources. And our 2 biggest things that we do are we have our GGS Academy, which is the world's first and only academy of its kind, creating comprehensive evidence-based interdisciplinary certifications for health and fitness professionals. So if you're not in the health and fitness industry, you might not know that there's very little women-specific education for health and fitness professionals. So 67 to 75% of people who hire a coach or trainer are women. And when we started what we started 4 years ago, there was almost no women-specific education for health and fitness professionals, talking about things like menstrual cycle, menopause, pelvic health, disordered eating within a coach's scope of practice, body image struggles, all of the different things that women go through, pre and postnatal health, very little information. And 85% of women in the US will have a baby at some point in their life, and professionals don't know how to help them. So we wanted to equip health and fitness professionals with the knowledge, skills, and tools to help women safely.
Now that we've spent some time talking about your organization, and just thank you for all of the wonderful information and the stories you've shared. It's just so enlightening and just so inspiring, the work that you're doing. I'd like to transition to us having a conversation specifically about the book. which obviously is very much founded in everything that we've already discussed. But especially for some of our bookish friends out there, I know that they would love to get some insight into how the book came to be and why. And so my first question for you is, obviously you already have, you're very well established in your space, as an entrepreneur and as a public speaker who's very in demand, discussing all of the topics that we have already mentioned thus far. So someone might ask you, well, why publish a book?
The short answer is I didn't choose to write the book. The book got inside my body and wouldn't leave me alone until I wrote it. The reason that it wouldn't leave me alone is because through all of the work that we've done at Girls Gone Strong and helping women with their nutrition, exercise, strength training, health, fitness, pregnancy, I noticed two really important themes. So number one is that a lot of women have been struggling with comparison, body image struggles, feeling like they're not good enough, feeling like they're not fit enough, lean enough, pretty enough, successful enough. They're not a good enough parent. They're not doing enough in the world to help other people, just feeling like they don't measure up and feeling like other women are their competition. And at the same time, I'm also seeing more women than ever, especially in the last few years, want to do stuff to change the world. They want their life and their work to matter. They want to have meaning and purpose. They want to, feel like what they're doing is making a difference. They want to have a lasting impact. But there are a couple things holding them back. Number one, they don't know what to do. So they see an atrocity on TV, right? And they're like, I want to help. What can I do? And they're like, I don't know that the actual action to take or the thing to do to help. Number two, they feel like they're just one person. So they think that their impact isn't actually going to make a difference. And number three, they're afraid of being criticized, or they have been criticized for what they're doing or what they're not doing. And so they might, if they do figure out what to do, or they do make an effort, right? And someone's like, all you're doing is reading a book. Like, what's that going to do? All you're doing is having a conversation with a family member. What you actually get out there, do something, right? They're like, well, I don't, this is what I know to do, right? So they're afraid of being criticized. And so we've got women who are struggling with comparison, jealousy, competition, body image struggles, feeling like they don't measure up. More women than ever who are wanting to create change. And if you think back to some of those stats that I listed earlier, that 7% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women, 11% of heads of state globally are women, 3% of venture capital funding goes to women. And you then at this moment in time, there is less opportunity for women. But in order to actually change that, we are going to have to work together to overcome that systemic lack of opportunity. But when we look around and we think that it's normal for there to be fewer women in important places where decisions are made, and we feel like we have to compete for those opportunities, then we're less likely to work together to create the change to overcome that systemic lack of opportunity. So it becomes this feed forward cycle. So if, Amanda, you and I are colleagues, and the job opportunity opens up and we think that, there's only one spot for a woman, or we both want to be on a panel and there's 10 spots, but we think there's only 2 spots for women. Well, I'm going to be less likely to recommend you for that if I want it for myself. If I think that there only will be 2 spots for women and that it's normal that there's only 2 spots for women, then I'm going to be more likely to compete with you for that spot instead of saying, wait a second, why are there only 2 spots for women on this panel? Can we get more equitable representation? Can we start our own panel and bring all of our sisters along with us to speak at this thing? Can we give more women opportunity? I felt like this book was a really powerful opportunity. For the first half of the book is all about how do we overcome our own struggles with comparison, jealousy, feeling like we don't measure up, scarcity mindset, thinking that there's not enough for us, and then actually join and work together so that we can create that change. So the second half of the book is all about, here are the actionable ways that you can actually lift other women up in your everyday life, no matter if you have access to time, money, platform, influence, network, any of those things. There are ways that you can do it. And then if you do have access to those things, here's how you can supercharge the impact that you're making by harnessing your unique values, resources, passions, what you love to do, and how you can use those to supercharge your impact in making a difference for women.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Molly. One thing I think is so interesting is, we often talk about, the concept of, women's empowerment, but the reality is women are already powerful. And so I think so much of what your message is just helping women to step into that power and leveraging it, to change their own lives and to change the lives, of the girls and the women, that they have, the privilege of being in relationship with. So, Molly, I just cannot thank you enough for your time today and just for granting us an opportunity just to speak more about your organization and the amazing work that you and all of your colleagues are doing, and also about your incredible book, Strong Women Lift Each Other Up, which will be on sale Tuesday, March 9th. And we cannot wait to see where this book ends up and just how many women's lives are transformed by it. So thank you for all that you do to help women around the globe to live their fullest and most amazing lives.
Thank you, Amanda. It has been such a pleasure working with you and Andrea and John and the Harper Horizon team to, yeah, bring this amazing project to fruition. Thank you for everything that you've done, and thank you for having me.